seated, please. State's next witness, please.
Chief Hatfield, Your Honor.
Forward.
You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God?
I did.
Chief, tell us your name and title, please.
My name is Jody Hatfield, and I'm Chief of Police of Carroll Township Police Department.
And were you in that position on March 27th, 2013?
I was.
Anything unusual happened that day?
On that day, the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office dispatched the Carroll Township EMS for a call of 2 individuals shot on a residence within inside the township.
You were at the station at that time?
I was, correct.
What, if anything, did you do when you heard them dispatch EMS?
Once I heard dispatch, that they were dispatched, I notified our dispatch that I was clear on the call and being route from our station.
So that means you were leaving the police department and going to where the call was?
Correct.
And when you notify your dispatch, that would be at the Oak Harbor Police Department?
That is correct.
Which is a different dispatch than the Sheriff's Office, which had dispatched EMS?
Correct.
Okay. How many minutes is it, if you know, from a drive from your police station to the scene of the crime?
Approximately 3 to 4 minutes.
How soon would you have arrived at the scene?
Within 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay. What did you see when you approached the scene?
Upon my initial arrival to the residence, when I pulled up to the scene, I noticed a gray car, which was black or gray in color, identified as a Pontiac G6 later, a white pickup truck and another silver car parked in the parking lot. And at this time is when I observed Mr. Ross pacing back and forth in front of the pickup truck.
Okay, I'll show you what has been marked as States 15. Can you identify that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh.
Or, yes, sir. That is the pickup truck, the silver car, and then it was a grayish color that day for what I remember, but it's the Pontiac G6 off to the left.
Okay, so
That is the residence.
Those are the 3 cars that you saw when you pulled at the scene.
Correct.
Are they parked in the same location
Yes, they are, sir.
when you first arrived there?
Yes.
Okay. Is this another view of that same scene?
Correct.
Okay. What happened next?
At that time, as you said again, I observed Mr. Ross pacing in front of the pickup truck, white pickup truck, which I confronted him at that time, advised him to go to the ground, and kept giving him commands to go to the ground, to lay down, go to your knees, and continued giving those orders.
You called him Mr. Ross. Did you know him when you approached him?
I have known him in the past through other dealings.
Okay. Not necessarily criminal in nature, but just citizen to police officer.
Correct, through hunting and stuff like that.
Okay. So, did he have any visible wounds?
He did. He had severe trauma to the left side of his facial area and to the head, and there was blood, profuse blood, all over his clothing.
Despite these wounds, you were able to recognize him?
Correct.
What, if anything, did you do then?
I continued giving the commands to go down to your knees, show me your hands, keep giving those commands, at which time I noticed a white in color Chevy Blazer approaching from the south, I believe would be the direction, coming up the roadway. I noticed that they had stopped in front of the residence where I was at, and at that point in time, I commanded them to stop as they exited their vehicle, told them to disperse or stay in the vehicle and not to exit at that time.
Did you later find out who this person was?
I did. It was one of the salesmen that has been at our office before. His name is, I know him as Chief Bailey. He works for a communications department, and he was actually stopping to see if I needed assistance with anybody who was sick or ill or anything like that, which he normally stops during the summer 2 or 3 times a month or more.
What did he do in response to your command to stay with his vehicle?
He stayed in the vehicle once I gave him the command.
What happened next?
At that point in time, Mr. Ross had taken a coat or a shirt that he had. He took it and laid it on the ground as to form like a pillow, and this is when he went and laid down on his side. And then I approached him from there, started searching for the weapon, made sure that the scene was clear, checked the area for the weapon, checked Mr. Ross for the weapon, at which time I could not find it.
What did you do next?
From there, after knowing that I could not find any weapon within the area, I entered the residence.
Did you find any other occupants of the residence?
I did.
Who would you have seen in the residence?
That would have been Andrea and Summer Swope.
Where was Andrea when you first saw her?
When you walk into the entrance door, they were off to the left of the stairways within sight of the kitchen is when you enter. They were off to the left.
By they, then Andrea and Summer were together at that point?
Correct.
What did you do next?
Once I entered, I asked where the next individual was or the weapon, and they advised upstairs. And from that point on, I advised them to stay there, to calm down. At that point, they were screaming, upset, and I started my way up the stairways.
What were your observations as you started up the stairways?
When I made entrance to the stairways, I noticed a blood trail or path going up the steps, and also on the railing. There was also blood on the railing.
And keep going with your observations as you went up to the second floor?
Continued following the blood path. Once I made it to the upstairs, I noticed that the blood trail went to the right. I followed this round to the right, which brought me to the bedroom, which is located on the right or the back side of the stairways.
What did you find in the bedroom?
Once I entered the bedroom, there was a pile of blood in front of the doorway. I noticed the second individual, which was identified as Amy Ross, who was laying on the right side of the bed as I was facing it. And at this point in time, I went over and checked for a pulse, checked for anything, see if I could see any breathing or anything, to administer the first aid, which no pulse could be located, or I could not see any breathing at this time.
What happened next?
At that point in time, I made a check of the area for the weapon, which the weapon could not be located. Continued checking it. I then exited the room to go downstairs to ask Andrea again where the weapon was located at. And at this point in time is when Sergeant Paulson was there, and I advised him to go back outside with Mr. Ross, and he went back outside, and I advised him that the weapon had not been located, and EMS arrived at this point in time. Chief Ed DeWitts followed me into the residence and back upstairs to locate the weapon after Andrea advised that it was upstairs on a windowsill.
What happened next?
I returned back upstairs with Chief DeWitts following me. He went directly over to Amy Ross to check, to administer first aid or what he needed to do. Prior to him, I made a check again around her, under the bed, anywhere I could for the weapon, and I also made a check of the window that was located directly in front of her.
What did you notice about the window, if anything?
The window, which was located on the right side of the bed, I noticed had a gunshot hole on the left side corner of the window.
Okay. And what did you do next?
From that point, we still continued looking since it could not be found. I went over to the left side, which Chief DeWitts also went to the left side of the window, or of the bed, and he yelled out that he needed the defibrillator, or AED, and then I made a advised Sergeant Paulson to again check the area because the weapon still could not be located. At that time, Sergeant Paulson looked up and he advised that the weapon was directly in front of me to the right, on the right window sill.
What, if anything, was obscuring the weapon from your visibility?
That window was open, when I arrived into the room, that window was open, and the wind that day was blowing hard, and the curtains were actually blowing out the window and actually stuck on the window seal in that area, and it was covering the weapon or anything through there that you could not see.
You retrieved the weapon then?
I did.
Okay.
No objection.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So let's look at State's Exhibit 13, and this is from the deposition.
Okay.
Would you like gloves?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
I assume everything's been made safe.
It says safe unloaded on the box, right? You familiar with firearms?
I am.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable pulling this firearm out of here, checking it to make sure it's safe?
I do.
Okay, thank you. You're a member of the National Guard?
I am.
You served overseas?
I have.
Okay.
I am also a licensed firearms instructor.
And what qualifies you to be a licensed firearm instructor?
I attended the Ohio Police Officers Training Academy Fire Officers Training course for semi-automatic weapons, revolvers, and shotguns.
Would you open the box that's labeled State's Exhibit 13 now? I think it opens in the front if you just put a lip.
And if you pull the weapon out.
It is safe.
It is safe. Okay. You removed a magazine from the weapon, is that right?
Correct.
How many rounds, if you know, will that magazine hold?
For the rigor, I do not know right offhand.
Okay. What caliber is that?
40?
And there are other things in the box as well, is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Are these things that you gathered, or were they gathered by BCI?
Those are things that I gathered.
Okay. Could you tell us what's in each one of those?
You have 6 rounds of 40 caliber, live, a 40 caliber spent shell that was from the stovepiping, and this does not have a mark on it there. That would be the bullets, or the projectiles from it. That one I did not use for a long time.
Okay, these were collected by BCI then?
Yes.
Okay. You referred to something as stovepiping, what does that mean?
Stovepiping is when the spent casing does not clear the weapon properly, and it jams in between the extractor or the chamber and will be stuck up in the air, such as this, which refers to a chimney-like effect, which would, the slide would be closed and the casing would be stuck in, as like that.
Okay, that's how you found the weapon, with the shell casing stovepiped.
Correct.
From your experience, are you experienced with these types of firearms?
I am.
And what would you call this weapon?
The semi-automatic handgun.
What can cause a stovepiping, if you know?
Different things, the way you hold it, the way if you hold it after it's shot once, or however you hold it, is what they call where you're not holding it tight enough, not allowing it to recoil properly, which will cause it to stovepipe. Dirty can cause it, and there's several things that can cause it to do stovepiping.
So if somebody were nervous about pulling the trigger, that would, and weren't supporting their hand?
Correct.
Objection, Your Honor, close for it.
I withdraw the question.
Thank you.
So why might a bullet stovepipe again, or a shell casing stovepipe?
Holding the hand, weak hand, the weapon could be dirty, anything like that.
Okay. You removed the stovepipe shell casing from the weapon, is that correct?
Correct.
At the time you found it?
Correct.
And you rendered the weapon safe, I assume?
Correct.
And that was part of that process?
Correct.
And then there are two of those 3 envelopes that are in State's Exhibit 13 that were pieces of evidence that you gathered that relate to this firearm, is that correct?
Correct.
And those are rounds that were found inside the magazine?
Correct.
Do you know how many were inside the magazine?
At that time, no. When I removed the magazine was pulled and still left full. When I turned that over to Detective Galore, I believe when I was looking at it at that point in time.
So when the weapon went from you to the sheriff's office, you had no reason to empty the magazine and left it like that?
No.
Because the magazine wasn't in the gun, so it wasn't a threat?
Correct.
Okay. Can you tell the jury whether or not you found any other weapons at this scene?
No other weapons were found.
I wonder if you could pull out the envelopes. And there are 3 envelopes altogether. There's one small one. This was evidence gathered by BCI.
Yes, that is on there. Correct.
And then the 2 larger ones are your evidence envelopes, correct?
Correct.
And what is in those again?
The 40 caliber stovepipe casing, with the Blazer 40 Smith & Wesson and 6 rounds of the 40 cal alive.
Okay. So these 2 envelopes relate to ammunition that you found with the weapon?
Correct.
Stovepipe or in the magazine?
Correct.
Okay. And how did you know to look for that weapon on the windowsill?
I was advised by Andrea that the weapon was upstairs on the windowsill.
Andrea Swope.
Correct.
Okay. Let me show you what has been labeled as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that picture?
It is a the color picture of the photo of the room of that day.
Now, when you first saw Amy's body, was it like this?
No, it was not.
Okay. And how can you explain the difference between the photo here and how you found Amy's body?
This position here is a position after the EMS personnel had come in and had arrived and started working on her and was left. As you can see, there's a bag in the left-hand corner there, what they call an ambient bag, and she is tubed at that time.
Okay. Let me show you State's Exhibit 2. Is that showing the bag a little bit better?
Correct.
When you first saw Amy's body, can you describe the position it was in?
She was laying on her left side with her left arm extended upward, like she was laying her head on it. Her right arm was over top of her chest, and her right leg was bent over, up over her left leg.
Okay, let me go back to State's 1 now. And ask, how far has Amy's body been moved from when you first saw it?
She was on the right side closer to the bed. At that point in time, I can't tell how far away that picture is from there.
Okay. So she would have been rolled over towards us.
Yes.
And she would have been laying on her right arm?
She would have been rolled. She was laying on her left, so she would have been rolled this way. It was like this. She was laying with the right arm upwards.
maybe this will help me understand it. Okay, that's State's Exhibit 2 again. And she would have then rolled over more towards where that medical bag is.
Correct.
And the arm that we're seeing is closest to the medical bag would have been, she would have been laying on top of that.
Yes.
And the other arm that is across her abdomen, up higher on her, that was pretty much where it was at the time you saw her?
Yeah.
Okay. And is her body closer to the window, further away, or about?
About the same.
About the same.
Correct.
Okay, so other than just
Rolling.
just rolling her over for medical purposes, that's pretty much the way she
Yes.
presented to you when you first went in.
Yes.
Okay. The head of her body would have been closest to the window behind her then, as opposed to
Yes.
her feet or some other. Okay, and her face would have been facing the bed, from what you described?
I cannot remember right offhand which way the face was direction.
Okay. So when you say she was rolled, excuse me, rolled over, was she facing this area here?
For what I can remember on that day, her back area would have been, she was right up in that area. May I use my report? Or?
Oh, sure. So you need to refresh your memory. I'll put State's Exhibit 3 up there, and maybe that'll help you.
That would have been, once you'd entered upon that, she would have been within that area, and then they would have rolled her as you described.
Okay, so she was, she would have been facing towards the side of the picture with the evidence tag on it?
Correct.
And then they would have rolled her over further away from the evidence tag?
Correct.
Okay. Did you need to look at your report some more?
That's right.
You said you saw Mr. Ross, or Randy, I think you called him. Do you see this person in the courtroom?
I do.
Could you describe what he's wearing?
It's an aqua blue or a blue shirt with tan pants and tan shoes on.
Your Honor, I think the record should reflect the witnesses identify the defendant.
It will.
You're familiar with this location?
I am.
Do you know what township it's in?
In Carroll.
And what county is it in?
Ottawa.
Show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 4, 5, and 6. I'll show them to you over here. What does State's Exhibit 4 represent, if you know?
Entering the doorway, main entrance to the residence.
And State's Exhibit 5?
That would be the main doorway.
That the door is unusual. Can you describe what you saw on of that door when you were at the scene?
Broken.
It was
appeared
broken.
Somebody kicked it in or pushed it in.
Okay. And that you can see in State's Exhibit 5?
Correct.
And in State's Exhibit 6, the same?
That is the kitchen upon entrance, correct.
Okay. Once you, so I see the door, and then there's a hutch off to the left there appears to be another doorway between the hutch and the refrigerator.
Correct.
Where does that entrance or doorway lead, if you know?
The living room is off to the right, and I believe the stairways is also right up through there.
So to come in that front door and go upstairs, you come directly towards the viewer of that picture, turn to the right, and then
turn to the left.
And then turn to the left, and you go upstairs.
Correct.
Okay. So far, the pictures that I've shown you, do they accurately depict what's portrayed?
Correct.
Show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 7. Could you describe what's in that picture?
That's leading, once you come upstairs, that is the blood leading from the it's coming up the steps, and that's the blood you see.
Okay, so we see an E and a G in there. Which is the top of the steps and which is the bottom? Or is neither one?
That's hard for me to tell, actually, the way the picture is taken right there.
Let me hand the picture to you in person. Show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 7.
That is actually the upstairs going into the bedroom right here. Once you make the round turn, is what that is right there.
We call it like a foyer or something then?
Correct. There's off to the left here, there's like it's an open area there.
Okay. Does that picture accurately depict what is portrayed?
It is.
Let's see if this works with the other pictures. And State's Exhibit 8?
That is the room, and that is coming up the steps there.
Okay, that's some more of that green foyer there?
That'd be standing at the top of the steps, and that would be the room to the right.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 9?
Again, it's the same view.
Okay. And do you recognize what is portrayed in State's Exhibit 10?
That'd be the north side of the residence. It's the window open on the left, or to our right now looking at it would be the actual window that I was observing to the left when I entered the room. The closed window on the right would be the actual window where the bullet hole is in the left bottom hand corner, which was on the side where Amy was laying.
Which of, is the window where the gun was placed, one of those windows?
It is the open window on the right.
Okay, the furthest, the window on the top, furthest from the evidence sticker? From the stage?
Correct.
Okay. And the window on the top closest to the evidence sticker, you said had a bullet hole in it?
Correct, the bottom left corner.
Okay. Did anyone open or close that window before this picture was taken, to your knowledge?
No.
So that's how the windows...
That's how it
work.
was when I arrived on the scene.
This was March 27th. Was it unseasonably warm that day? Or?
No, it was not. I don't remember the exact weather, but it was not that warm.
If you look out the window of this exhibit, State's Exhibit 11, is that one of the windows from the previous exhibit, State's Exhibit 10?
That'd be the window on the right, I believe, looking out towards the farm field on the north.
So we're going to call that the bullet hole window?
Correct.
Does that work for you? Okay. So it looks like from the window there's no snow cover?
No.
And then State's Exhibit 12. What is that?
That is the bullet hole,
That same window again, or a different one?
the same window.
So do all of these exhibits accurately depict what is portrayed in those pictures?
They do.
The firearm that's in State's Exhibit 13, does that appear to be in the same condition as when you turned it over for evidence?
It does.
Do you have a knife on you? Scissors? Okay, from State's Exhibit 13, I'm handing you the two larger evidence envelopes from inside there. Would you open those, please? Would you look in and see if those appear to be the same
Yes.
bullets that you confiscated as evidence?
Yes.
There would be 3 live rounds in there?
Yes. Some of those must have been used for testing.
Okay.
That would be the spent casing.
Is this the stovepipe?
Correct.
And that appears to be in the same condition as when you found it?
Correct.
One moment, Your Honor. All right, move for the introduction of the exhibits.
And which are those?
Photos 1 through 12. And the firearm and the bullets and casings from 13. We also have 15 and 16. These were the...
Those were previously. Any objection, counsel?
I'm sorry, which one,
Any of those?
No, Your Honor, not to this.
Firearm, is that included at this point?
It's 1 through 13?
Right. And then 15 and 16.
Correct. No objections.
Admitted.
Nothing further? Thank you.
No questions of this witness. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Your Honor.
State's next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Gail Ulrich.
Come around here, please.
Swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and you shall answer every matter.
Good afternoon. Please state your name.
Gail Lobrick.
Okay, thank you. And do you know Randy Ross?
Yes.
How do you know Mr. Ross?
He was the man I was training to take my place as superintendent of the water department. Village of
Okay.
Pemberton.
For the village of Pemberville?
Yes.
Okay, and so by March 27, 2013, how long had you known Mr. Ross?
About 3 months.
About 3 months? Okay. Is Mr. Ross in the courtroom today?
Yes. He looks a lot different, but yes.
Could you describe where he's sitting and what he's wearing?
He's in blue shirt with a little light dark blue striped tie.
Okay, thank you. Does the record reflect that this has been by the defendant?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Lobrick, were you working on March 27th, 2013?
Yes, we were.
Okay, you were working with Randy?
Yes, I was.
All right, and what were you doing that day?
Reading meters, water meters.
Okay, and did you usually work with Randy?
I worked with him almost every day since he started. I was a supervisor.
Okay, what was your shift? What hours was it?
7 to 3.
7 to 3? Okay. Did Randy stay on the 27th till 3 o'clock? Okay, do you remember when he left?
10:15.
10:15. Do you know why he left?
He went to go to a meeting with his wife.
How do you know that?
Because he had told me on Monday that he got a call from his wife, and she wanted to talk about getting back together.
Okay. Before the 27th, had Randy talked to you about his wife?
Yes.
What did he told you?
Well, that she had left him because he wasn't making as much money as she had been previously. And the personality was going back and forth.
They seemed to be on good terms.
No.
Okay. And what was Randy's mood like when he left on the 27th?
He seemed to be quite happy.
Okay. Do you know why he seemed happy?
He said he was going to a meeting and was hoping to get home in time and get changed, cleaned up, and meet with her and hopefully take her to lunch and possibly move in to dinner.
Did you later learn what happened?
Yes,
on the
I did.
27th? Okay. And did that surprise you?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, I had come the time I'd worked with him to believe what you've been telling me. He seemed like a straightforward, honest person. He worked hard.
Okay.
I thought from the conversations he had with me that he was truly interested in trying to get back to his wife. He loved her.
Were you working at the water plant on the 27th with Randy?
We started the day in the water plant, did our test, and then we went out to read water meters.
Okay. Were those water readers in Pemberville?
In Pemberton, yes.
Okay. And what's the address of the plant in Pemberville?
Well, we call it South Plant, it's on, seems I wasn't working right in town, I've been gone for 2 years. Go Vegas to Harrison Park.
If I tell you it's 628 Beerly Avenue?
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
Yeah,
Okay. And did Randy leave at 10:15 from that location?
Pardon?
Did Randy leave at 10:15 from that
Yes.
location?
Yes, he did from that location. I took him back there so he could leave at that time.
Okay.
We had been walking the city, the village, reading meters.
No further questions?
No questions of this witness. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. State's next witness.
Mike Clark?
Mr. Fox?
So come around this way, please.
Raise your hand, please. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and you shall answer the God?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you tell us your name, please?
Peter Klaus.
And Peter, your middle name is Mike?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And for some purposes, you go by Mike, and at work, you go by Peter, is that right?
Yeah, I've been called both.
Okay.
You can call me whatever you would like.
Okay. Peter be good for you?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, Peter, I'm Mark Mulligan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You, where do you live, Peter?
I live in Oak Harbor.
Do you know Randy Roth?
Yes.
How do you know Randy?
We met through a mutual friend, maybe 12 to 15 years ago.
So you've known him as a friend for quite some time then?
Yes.
Do you know what kind of car he drives or what kind of vehicle he drives?
He drove a white Chevy truck.
So, and could you describe what you were doing on March 27th of 2013? So
Yes.
First of all, do you remember that day?
Yes.
Okay, you remember it very well, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the jury about what you were doing that day.
That day I left work early. Was having a bad day. I picked up my kids they were on spring break. Picked them up at our residence. I was moved out of the house at the time, living with my mom. I picked my kids up at my ex-wife's house. Went to Fremont. We were heading to Fremont to have the rest of the day together. Was getting ready to cross the Portage River Bridge, Carver by Gordon Lumber, and I seen Randy coming from the south. I was heading north. Seen him coming at a high rate of speed, tried to contact him, didn't get an answer, and I continued on to Fremont.
Did you greet him with a wave or anything like that?
Yes.
Did you receive a similar response in return?
No.
Was this unusual or not?
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you recall what time that was that you saw Randy?
Thinking it was right around 11:30.
Where were you? Do you know for sure? You were taking your children to Fremont, right?
Yeah.
So you were heading over the bridge out of Oak Harbor towards Fremont on Route 19, correct?
Yes.
And Randy would have been traveling in the opposite direction, is that?
He was heading north.
He was heading north into Oak Harbor then, and away from Fremont?
Yep.
Okay. How do you know that he was traveling at a high rate of speed?
I could see his truck bouncing up and down when he hit the first part of the bridge.
Like it hit a little bit of an elevation or depression at a pretty good rate of speed. He went by you then, and a white Chevy truck is not unusual. Let me show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 17. Do you recognize that vehicle? Whose vehicle is that?
Looks like it was Randy's truck.
You recognize it from the distinctive crow work on the front?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the truck you saw coming toward you?
Well, I can't see the whole truck in that picture. I mean, it looks pretty familiar.
Okay. Let me show you State's Exhibit 15. There's another view of the truck, although I know it's not the whole truck. Does that still look like Randy's truck? In addition to recognizing the truck, were you able to look inside the cab to see who was driving?
Yeah, I could see Randy.
So you knew it was Randy? Our court reporter only takes words down?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your children were not in school that day, were they?
No, they went on spring break.
Spring break. You went to batting cages in Tremont?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you find out about Mr. Ross before you left Fremont?
I got a phone call from a friend that told me what happened, that Randy possibly shot his wife and then shot himself.
That was before you even left Fremont to come back to Oak Harbor?
About the time we were leaving.
Okay. Do you know how much time passed between when you saw Randy and when you got that call? And if you don't, that's fine.
2 to 2.5 hours.
You have a cousin, correct?
Yes.
And your cousin, you have a cousin that works at a restaurant and bar called Waldo Peppers?
Actually, her boyfriend does,
Okay.
or did at the time.
Okay. Did you ever have a discussion with Randy Ross about Waldo Peppers?
Yes.
Okay, what was that discussion?
Basically, he contacted me to talk to my cousin's boyfriend because Amy had been going there quite often to see if...
Objection, Judge.
Show the defendant's state of mind, Your Honor.
So are you suggesting it's not offered for the truth of the matter?
Exactly.
I'll see where this goes.
Okay. I think we got cut off, and I wonder if you could finish your thought on the conversation about Waldo Peppers.
Basically, he was contacting me to talk to my cousin's boyfriend to see if he had seen Amy in the restaurant with any other guys.
Okay.
Sorry.
This conversation about Waldo Peppers was before Amy Ross was shot?
Yes.
About how long before, if you know?
Maybe 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Do you see Randy Ross in the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe what he's wearing, please?
Blue shirt, black and gray tie, green pants.
Your Honor, I think the record should reflect that the witnesses identify the defendant.
Yes, well,
Nothing further.
No question.
all right, you may step down, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I'm all free to leave? You are. No one intends to recall him, do they?
I do not know.
You're free to go, thank you. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Claus.
Good. You wanted to see what,
I'm sorry, what?
you wanted to see what that testimony is?
Sure. How many more witnesses do you know?
We have one more scheduled for today, Your Honor. Another, probably a short one.
Any objection to proceeding at this point, or?
No, Judge, I think we were curious about there was an objection raised, it was to see where the witness was.
Your objection was overruled, I'm sorry.
No, we don't have an objection to proceeding today.
All right.
Yeah, see it first.
Yeah. None whatsoever.
No, my bad.
I apologize, I did not announce a decision.
And I would move for the introduction of State's Exhibit 17.
The front grill, no objection. No objection. Admitted.
You want a break or do you want another witness?
No.
Okay,
Let's go.
Carol?
You'll come around here, please, Carl. Swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and you shall answer under God.
Good afternoon. Can you please state your name?
My name is Carl Ryder.
And how are you employed?
I'm employed by the prosecutor's office.
And what are your duties included?
My main responsibility is the commander of the drug task force.
Okay. And so are you familiar with the Randy Ross case?
Yes.
Okay. How are you familiar with that case?
I was on scene the day that it happened, and then subsequent to that, I've done some follow-up at the request of the prosecutor's office.
Okay, and what kind of follow-up have you done?
I believe it was last Friday, Mr. Mulligan asked me to drive a route based on a Google map printout that we suspected, or that he suspected Mr. Ross may have taken the day of the incident here.
Okay, where did that route start?
I drove to Pemberville and I started on, I can't remember the road, but I took a photo of it so I wouldn't forget it. I believe Mr. Mulligan's got that photo. It was a water treatment plant or something like that in Pemberville.
If I told you the address of the water treatment plant is 628 Bearley Avenue, Pemberville, does that sound correct?
That sounds correct.
Okay. So
We
you-
got that address from calling the Pemberville Village Administration Building. They told us where it was.
All right, so you started there. Do you remember what time you
I
started?
timed the trips, but I don't remember exactly what time I got
Okay.
there.
So you started there, and then what did you do?
I followed the directions on the, I believe it was Google Maps, that course, following the posted speed limit, necessary stops at traffic control devices, and I drove to the address outside of Fremont that was Mr. Ross's home at the time of the incident.
Okay, and do you recall how long it took you to get there?
There were two trips. One was 34 minutes and one was 31 minutes. But I'm not, without looking at my notes, I can't testify to which one was which.
Okay.
I provided them to the prosecutor's office in a yellow sheet of paper. One was 31 minutes and some odd seconds, and one was 34 minutes and some odd seconds.
So you started in Pemberville.
Yes,
You went to the address in Fremont that you knew was Randy Ross's address
Yes.
on March 27th, 2013?
yes, it was the address that I was directed to by Google Maps, and that's where he lives on the date of the case, or the incident that brought us to court today.
Okay, and then once you got there, what did you do?
I turned my stopwatch off. I took a photo of the house from the roadway. There's a post, green reflective post near the driveway with a street address on it, and a mailbox with the street address on it located on the opposite side of the roadway. I took a photo of both of those, reset my stopwatch, and then followed the route from that address to the Lights Road address as mapped out on the Google Maps.
All right, and the Lights Road address, what's the significance of that address?
That's where the incident occurred.
On the 27th, that's where the murder occurred?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you know that?
That's the address?
Yeah.
It was on Google Maps, and I was at the house
Okay.
the day that it happened.
You were at the house on the 27th?
Yes.
I'm sure the defense puts the mark State's Exhibits 141 through 146. So after you left Fremont, and you went to the Lights Road address, so what was the total length of time that you were in the car?
The total travel time was 65 minutes.
65 minutes? And how fast were you traveling?
Posted speed limit?
The entire time?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Agent Ryder, I'm showing you, I'll direct your attention up here to the television. I'm showing you, it's been marked as State's Exhibit 141.
Yes.
Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yeah, I took that photo out of the windshield of my county-owned car parked in front of that location, which is the location that I started the first leg of the trip.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 142. Do you recognize that exhibit?
That exhibit is the street address of the Lights Road address.
Okay. That was the end of your trip?
That was the end of my trip. Prior to taking that, I pulled in the driveway of the house, took a picture of the house, backed out, and then took a picture of the mailbox.
Okay. Is State's Exhibit 143, what is that?
That's the Lights Road address?
Okay, that's a picture of the house.
Yes.
State's Exhibit 144, what is that?
That's a picture of the post that was to the north or right of the driveway of Mr. Ross's house outside of Fremont.
Okay. So it's halfway through the trip.
That was my first stop, yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit 145.
That's the mailbox across the street from where that post was that was in the previous photo.
Okay, also Fremont address?
Yes.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 146.
That's a picture looking down the driveway toward the corresponding residence at that address.
Okay, Fremont.
Yes.
Okay. Those are all true and accurate photographs?
Yes, they were taken with my iPhone. We downloaded them to the computer at the prosecutor's office, and I'm assuming he printed them out.
Your Honor, State, you submit Exhibits 141 to 146.
Okay.
Objection. No objection.